Have you ever had a bad thought and wondered, wait, is that illegal? Where exactly does the law draw the line between a private thought and a public crime? Well, it turns out there's a four-stage journey, and today we're going to walk that path together to find the exact point of no return.
Yeah, that's really the big question, isn't it? At what point can the legal system actually step in? So let's do this. Let's trace that path from a totally private thought to a public crime and see if we can find the answer. Think of it like we're on a road trip. At every stop, at every single stage, we're going to ask the same critical question. Are we breaking the law yet? It's the perfect way to see exactly where those legal lines are drawn. All right, first stop on our journey, we're starting in the most private, most secret place there is, inside someone's head. This is stage one, the guilty mind, where that little spark of a criminal idea first appears. So, this first stage is all about intention. You might hear lawyers throw around a fancy Latin term, mens rea, which literally just means guilty mind. But really, it's nothing more than the thought itself. You decide, I'm going to do this illegal thing. That's it. It's just the seed of the idea planted in your mind.
Okay, so the thought is there, the intention is formed, but that's all. Nothing has happened in the real world yet. So here's our big question for stage one. Can you get in trouble for just thinking about it?
And the answer is a big, fat no. Absolutely not. The law just doesn't punish thoughts. A guilty mind, all by itself, is basically invisible to the legal system. You can think whatever you want, no matter how dark or twisted, and you haven't broken any laws. This actually gets at a super important idea in law, summed up by this old Latin phrase. All it's really saying is that an act isn't a crime unless you meant for it to be. But, and this is the key for us right now, the reverse is also true. A guilty mind isn't a crime without a guilty act. You've got to have both. It's a package deal.
Okay, so we've established that just thinking bad thoughts is fine, legally speaking. But what happens when you start to, do something about it? Well, that brings us right to stage two, preparation. Preparation is exactly what it sounds like. It's the getting ready phase. It's all the stuff you do to set the stage for the crime. Buying the ski mask, drawing a map of the bank, Googling how to disable a security camera. You're gathering your tools, making your plan. All right, so now we have action. Real-world stuff is happening. This feels a lot closer to an actual crime, right? So let's ask our question again. Have we crossed the line now? Is preparing to commit a crime illegal? And you might be surprised to hear this, but the answer is still generally no. And this isn't some legal loophole. It's totally on purpose. The law gives people an opportunity to repent. It's basically an off-ramp. You've bought the tools, you've made the plan, but the law gives you a chance to have second thoughts, to just walk away, no harm, no foul.
Now, hold on. There are some huge exceptions here. When we're talking about really, really serious stuff, things that threaten all of society, the law isn't going to wait around. Things like preparing to wage war or planning a massive armed robbery. In those cases, the preparation is the crime. The threat is just too big to ignore.
Okay, deep breath. This is the big one. Stage 3. This is the point of no return. We've gone past thinking, we've gone past planning, now we're actually doing it. This is the attempt. So what exactly is an attempt? It's a direct step towards the crime. It's not just buying the crowbar anymore, it's sticking the crowbar in the door and prying. It's that moment you start putting the plan into action, even if you get caught or mess it up and don't finish. In this right here is the critical difference. Let's get this straight. Preparation is just getting your ducks in a row. The attempt is when you start taking the shot. Buying the lockpick? Preparation. Putting that lockpick into the keyhole and starting to jiggle it? Boom. That's an attempt. You've just crossed the line. So, we've crossed the line. We've made a direct move. What's the verdict? Is this punishable? Yes. Finally, a clear, unmistakable yes. This is where the guilty act, the actus reus, officially kicks in. You're not just thinking or planning anymore, you're acting. And that's when society has every right to step in and say, nope, not on our watch. And that brings us to the end of the road, the final stop on this journey, stage 4, accomplishment. This is where the plan actually works. Accomplishment is pretty self-explanatory, right? The attempt didn't fail. The house was successfully burgled. The car was stolen. Whatever the intended crime was, it happened. Mission accomplished, so to speak.
Okay, last time we asked our question. The crime is done. Is the person in trouble?
Well, no surprise here, but of course it's a yes. The whole journey from a simple thought to a finished act is complete. And now, the person is on the hook for the full crime and whatever punishment comes with it.
All right, let's zoom out for a second. We've gone through all 4 stages. But why does any of this matter? Why does the law bother with all these little distinctions? Because this whole journey, intention, preparation, attempt, and accomplishment, it's not just some dusty legal theory. It's a super practical rule book. It's how our legal system tells the difference between someone just blowing off steam and someone who's a genuine threat. It defines the exact moment intervention is justified.
And when you boil it all down, these stages are all about finding a balance. Think about it. By not punishing thoughts, or even most preparations, the law protects our freedom to think, our mental privacy. But by punishing the attempt, it protects all of us, our safety as a society. It's a really fine line to walk, and these 4 stages, they show us exactly where that line is drawn.